Hello and welcome to All in Motion. I am your host, Jake. From Melissa, Scar City, and myself and all of the AIM team, may you have an amazing 2025. Welcome to season 4. We have a very special guest. That's right, he has been on the show before. This is his 5th time. That's right, 5th time. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy number 73, President-elect, Firearms Safety Training, and Real Estate. Hello, All in Motion audience. Welcome. This is Jake. It's a great day here. Alexandria, Virginia. 60 degrees. Amazing how we can jump from 26 degrees to 60 degrees, but we're here and we're alive. We're happy. This is season 4. Welcome, everybody. Have an amazing episode. Got Scar City. How we doing, sir?
Oh, doing great. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
How's this weather down there in Tampa?
Oh, I just hate to say it. It's in the 70s.
This guy lives a life. Hey, we got a special episode, do we not, Scar City?
Absolutely. We got somebody special returning for a 5th time.
Yes, sir.
So I think we have an all-star here.
Roger that. Brennan Inch, welcome back to All Motion for your 5th time, sir.
Thank you. I'm here.
Wow, man. Geez, I think we have to maybe get you a t-shirt or a hat, right?
Something.
At least something, right?
Something. Yeah.
Are you cool talking about, I know you transitioned since we talked, I believe about a year ago. Yeah, at least a year ago, Scar City, when our last episode, number 46, what it takes as a manager to make tough decisions. Just wanted to touch base, if you're cool speaking about, I know you made a transition, you sold your house and you moved to a bigger property, correct?
Yeah. I changed a lot, changed jobs. I'm now the general manager of a scrapyard where we buy junk cars and part them out. People get a good deal and we recycle all the parts of the vehicle after that. And I purchased a new property, which since I'm big into the outdoors, it's awesome because I have 46 acres with a pretty big creek running through it. So I no longer have to leave my house to go hunting or fishing. So blessed, honestly.
That's great. So before we dig into it, I want to get into, just touch on base as we go into the new year. Why do you think people should listen to this podcast, All Motion?
I think it's a great podcast to listen to because everyone that you talk to is real. And I think you have spoken to some people that I would consider, I don't know if I want to say famous, but more high profile than myself. But a lot of the guests you talk to are just real people, real world experiences. And I think that's highly valuable because not everyone is always able to connect with, say, like the Joe Rogan guests of the world. When you listen to a podcast and it's all normal people, it's highly identifiable. It's very valuable, I believe.
Appreciate that. What do you think about, it looks like Donald Trump's going to win it. I know we spoke a little about a couple months ago, and definitely I'm glad and happy and thank you for being here. What do you think about the current climate? Thoughts, opinions?
Oh man, so a wide topic, but I personally willing to say that I'm glad that Trump won for a lot of reasons. I think it was, I don't want to say illegal, but I don't know what the rules technically are of how a candidate gets selected to be the candidate for a party, but it seemed like they just sort of strong-armed Joe out of there, and Kamala, I don't believe, actually got voted in as the candidate. So that was kind of I saw that and took that into consideration. Why did they want to forego the normal process of how someone gets put in as the candidate to be voted on by that party? I'm a patriot, and ultimately I believe that Trump, I don't think I don't enjoy listening to him talk a lot. I think he's a little bit extra on being about himself, but I think he has the country's best interests at heart, and I don't feel the same about the opposing side of the coin, if that makes sense.
Perfect sense. No, I appreciate it. When you heard about the assassination attempt and how close the shooter was, I really want to speak to you about this, just because I know I'm such an avid, hunter you are, and with guns. What did you think about that when you heard about the Donald Trump's assassination?
I mean, that's the topic that I could probably talk about just that topic all day long. But I urge everyone to learn about firearms, learn about firing them, and understand where the shooter was, how everything was set up. And if you have any basic level of knowledge of how things work, how land lays, how you can see distances based off your height, and so on and so forth, caliber of the weapon, optics that were used, vantage points, and so forth. None of it really makes any sense if it was an actual attempt and not sort of, I don't want to say inside job, but that's the term that's coming to mind. None of it really adds up or makes sense, especially the fact that the shooter's house was allegedly wiped and he had connections via cell phone in DC with the FBI. And I don't want to get my house raided, but there's a lot of things that if you read into it didn't add up. I'll leave it at that.
And one thing I want to jump in there real quick and talk about as far as the previous question about, how Kamala was able to run for president. For those that are aware, from a political standpoint, it's the incumbent advantage and also the line of succession. So we know that she was a vice president. So vice president has what they call the incumbent advantage. And people know this if you play the long game of chess. You know that you put your vice president there. If the president ever steps down, that is a strategic move to put that person in. And they don't have to go through the process of like, oh, we're going to go through the DNC as an example, or the RNC if it was a Republican. They just get put in there because of the line of succession, because she's the second most powerful, person in the cabinet. So just wanted to add that on there.
Got you. So he actually formally stepped down.
Correct.
Okay.
He
I think
he
that's
stepped
where it
down
gets
not as president. He stepped down as running for president. So now what the next thing they're talking about is it's possible that he may actually step down, put her in office before his term is out, before January. So what that does is that it actually makes her the president. So he could technically make her the president right now if he wants to. With that said, could change a lot and make things very difficult for Trump. They've already done a lot of things to make it rough for President-elect Trump. So,
wow, Scar City, you running for office?
I've been engaged in politics since I was a teenager, growing up in New York City, and just a lot of the stations are there, like CNN, Fox 5.
Right.
You got the left and the right. So having that combination of understanding how politics work gives you the advantage when you're a visionary.
I think that's a good point that you brought up, and the reason I say that is because as we live out our lives, and our cell phones are a big part of it, news gets spread in a different fashion these days. And I think it's important to note that the way that I described it was the way that it comes through to me from my sources, because my sources are tailored to what I look at and what my algorithm is. And
Right.
I think it's important to this, because we spoke last time about how important it is to have conversations. And this is the reason, this is another example of why it's so important to have conversations, because you actually know what you're talking about. I'm regurgitating information that I've heard from other places. And I think the lesson overall is that they should have done a better job of communicating what was going on.
Right. Yeah, it was just kind of done. It was so fast. Biden said he declines to seek re-election for the Democratic Party. And then the Democratic Party backed her. So that's the fact, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And then so when you watch like you said, to your point, Brennan, and if you look at CNN, they're going to tell you this. If you look at Fox 5, they're going to tell you that, right? If you look at something more far right, they're going to say that, or something more far left, they're going to say that. So just being in tune with what the facts actually are and having a good source authority, a source of record, that is, I don't speak on anything I don't actually know for sure, right?
Yep.
So that's a part of that. You could trust. If it comes from all emotion, we've done our research and we've solidified what we're saying.
Good deal.
Absolutely. And I just got one or two more, Brennan, but want to get your opinion about hunting, your love for guns, and just because we want to break the stigma, right? Because I get it, right? And we could kind of tie in mass shootings if you want to touch on that a little bit. We want to put out positive, information and knowledge to, information to educate and help people. So just want to get your thoughts and opinions and speak on hunting if you don't mind.
Yeah. So, I mean, my relationship with guns and like the outdoors started very early. I got my first 22 when I was like 8 or 9 years old, and went squirrel hunting and started with small game, and then worked my way up to deer and other big game, and did hunt with guns. But I do a lot of my hunting now with archery equipment, because I feel that it's a greater challenge and puts me more in tune with nature, as in feels more fair as how it was long ago when the Native Americans were doing it. Just feels more natural. A bang going off in the middle of silent woods, just it's just not the same. You don't get as close. So I prefer the archery equipment. But speaking to guns and my opinion about them in general is that I feel like they are a tool and they're very dangerous, but everyone can benefit from high levels of education surrounding them. And once you are educated and understand how they work and what can be done with them and how dangerous they really are with proper handling and storage, they can be a great source of camaraderie and fun, and also a great tool to teach young kids another skill in life and also how to protect themselves, which is I feel, I said they're a tool, and the tool that I believe they are is a way to harvest game and eat healthy meats that aren't tampered with, so on and so forth, and to protect yourself as a nation and as a family. And that's something I hold pretty close, to my chest and to my heart.
I appreciate that. And then what I want to follow up with is, what do you say to people? And it kind of goes with that education piece, what you just said, which is awesome, that say it's wrong to kill animals. What do you say to those people? Excuse me, what should we say? Or how do we educate?
I approach that, and my first angle is that's okay. Everyone's entitled to their opinion or thoughts, beliefs, and feelings. But one thing that I can guarantee you that no one can argue is that you wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for killing animals. That's how we all survived, and that's how we all got to the point in life where we can now take hot showers with a microwave, and every simple commodity that we have today and life is brought by eating and surviving. And none of us would have made it here today if in 1776 we said we were too good to kill animals. It's kind of like a lot of other things in today's world that didn't exist just a short time ago, certain feelings and thoughts and beliefs, because I just feel as time has passed, people have gotten so used to having all the pleasures of the modern world, and they just forget what it really used to be like. And it's easy to say all these things when you have it so easy and you're sitting in your, heated and cooled apartment with a microwave and food in your freezer that you can just take out and microwave. But one really bad scenario where our lives all get changed, that view would change very quick. Like when you're starving and you have nothing, you have no way to eat, that view would change very quickly. So I usually just try to avoid those scenarios, but basically if I get pushed into a corner where I have to say something, I would just say you wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that. And I understand that we had the luxury of not having to do it today, but it was needed at one time. And if I choose to do that now because it's legal and right, that's my prerogative and your prerogative to not do it and feel the way you do.
Hey, gorgeous. Hello, handsome. It's your girl, Melissa Jackson, with the All in Motion podcast team, and this is the Healing Energy segment, here to bring you tips and techniques to live an intentional and phenomenal lifestyle. Happy holidays from all of us. Thank you for your continued support for the last 3 years, and we are so excited to bring you season 4 with some new and old guests, live video episodes, and new merchandise being added to the website. We look forward to sharing this journey with you, our AIM family. Be safe, happy, healthy, and wealthy this holiday season. And remember, if nobody else tells you today, I love you and you are amazing.
Just a question about the land that you mentioned. What's some of the benefits that you see having that? And I know earlier you talked about not the same, being a different environment, but what are some of the benefits you see for those that are possibly maybe interested in owning their own land and kind of creating their own space and preparing for that worst case scenario in the country? What are some of the advantages you see now having that versus not having it?
So thanks for asking that. The biggest advantages that I am aware of is that I have 46 acres. I have endless amounts of dead or dying trees that I can cut up and use to heat my home. Luckily, I have the house came with a wood stove, and I can heat my house 24/7 with that. I have a creek that runs the property, so I can source I can source water from the land I would have to clean that, obviously, but I have a way to heat my house. I have a way to drink, and I also have game on the land, and that's important to get meat. And finally, there's enough property that without taking out too much of the woodland, I could create a small field and be able to grow fruits and vegetables as well in the event that, I don't have time. I don't, not many people in today's world have time to do all of that. I currently just hunt and fish, but if I had to stop working and figure out a way to survive in that survival scenario, obviously I would try to also grow some food. So in the event that something bad happened and I had to try to survive here, I would be able to do that. I could also get chickens or cows or animals to have on the property for an additional source of food and nutrition. And with modern society and the way most people live, you can't even have, in a lot of the zoning rules and township regulations, you're not even allowed to have like chickens in your backyard or, a goat or any of that stuff. So kind of getting out away from everyone and having my own little oasis has allowed me to, while I don't chase all those avenues, it allows me to have the ability to do so if I would choose that or be forced into that.
Okay. And two more questions for you. One, is there a HOA that you have to deal with those 46 acres? That's the first question. And the second question is, would you consider building underground, in the event of a, doomsday scenario?
So in my last job, I dealt with HOAs, and I'm happy to say that no, I do not have an HOA. It's I turn off of a main road and drive a half a mile back a stone driveway to my house. No one, no one in the area has to deal with any HOA. And sorry, what was the second question?
The second question is, would you consider building something underground in the
No.
event of a doomsday scenario?
I would love to try.
Like
It
a
would be
bunker.
yeah, I would love to build a bunker. I would be financially restricted in doing such. But if all else, barring the financial side of it, yes, I would definitely do that for sure. That'd be really cool. But I currently I don't think I'd be able to do that. Also, the only negative about where I'm at is I'm kind of on a giant rock, so it might be hard to dig.
Oh, that sounds great. Jacob,
Yeah.
pass it back to you.
Hey, yes, Brennan. Again, appreciate you for your time. I'm gonna follow up with this last one. Yeah, no, Scar City. That is great questions because our goal is to educate as many people as we can. What would you say, Brennan, about for our listeners, audience? What would you say advantages, disadvantages of owning a property would be?
Advantages of owning a property are once you get to the end, I mean, no, you always have to pay taxes on everything. Of course, we live in the United States, but once you own the asset, well, first of all, as you're paying it off, you're paying money towards owning the asset. Whereas if you don't own it, that money kind of goes into thin air every month. That's my biggest pro to, I mean, short of privacy and feeling the pride of home ownership. The downsides would be all of the maintenance that comes with owning a home. There's not a number to call. There's not a number to call. You can't call the HOA or maintenance and say, hey, my this or that is out, or this isn't working, or my window got broken, or whatever it is. I have to deal with everything myself. And, as I stated, it's beautiful that I get to drive back a half a mile driveway, but I also have to maintain the driveway. If it snows 3 feet, I got to figure out how I'm going to get out of the driveway. My whole home generator recently stopped working because I have a dedicated power line that comes back to my house. And if a tree falls on that and I'm out of power for 3 days, which has happened since I've been here, I have to, I mean, I don't have to fix the down power lines, but I have to figure out a way to power the house. And my generator went out. So I have to make sure I get that fixed. And there's a lot of costs that you incur and a lot of time that gets spent and a lot of kind of getting in there and figuring things out yourself. And that can be difficult sometimes and sort of never ending, especially if you have a property that's a little bit older. So that would be the cons in my eyes. But I think at the end of the day, just the main two pros that I listed to me feel like they overshadow the negatives of, I mean, anything you have, you always got to take care of it. And I was fortunate that my father taught me that. So my mother and my father taught me that. And so that's not really a big deal to me because anything you have, you got to take care of. So I just kind of do what I got to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Scar City, you have anything else?
No, I just wanted to say thank you to Brennan again. Every time he's on, I always learn something. It's always good conversation, and he's inspiring us as well as our audience. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Brennan.
Yeah, thank you, man.
And Brennan, before we close out, sir, do you have anything else you want to share or speak on before we close it out?
No, man, I'm just proud of you guys. I appreciate you having me on. Just keep pushing, keep getting good guests on, and I'm sure you guys are going to keep on rising. I appreciate you inviting.
Absolutely, Brennan. You have a great rest of your weekend, and we look forward. Next time will be the 6th time. So we'll try to get to 10 and 25, right?
Sounds good, man.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you again, Brennan, for that powerful episode. And congratulations on your 5th episode on AIM, making you an AIM resident. Thank you all for taking the time to listen. And please make sure you check out the website and subscribe to our mailing list. There's amazing things happening in 2025 with new episodes, live video, and new merchandise added to the website. From Melissa, Scar City, myself, and the entire AIM family, take care and be safe.